Welcome to Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures League, presented by ChangeUp. I'm Owen Shadrick. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in, whether you're watching or listening. Quick standings update for you. We're recording this here on June 30th, day before July. The standings have switched up a little bit since the last time we talked. Vermont remains on top, though, at 24-6. They have won 24 of their last 27 to date, which is incredible. The New Britain Bees stand in second place after passing the Westfield Starfires. So New Britain in second, Westfield in third. Norwich is occupying the fourth spot and final spot in the playoffs right now at 15-15, followed by Worcester, Pittsfield, Nashua, and Brockton. Some news in the Futures League here this week. We officially want to congratulate our 78 Sports Player of the Month and our ChangeUp Pitcher of the Month. We'll start with the Pitcher of the Month. It is Sean Matson from the Vermont Lake Monsters. Sean has had an incredible run. He's got a 2 ERA, 46 strikeouts in 27 innings. Congratulations to Sean and the Vermont Lake Monsters for the incredible first month that they have had in the Futures League. And our 78 Sports Player of the Month is Jackson Hornung from the Westfield Starfires. He's hitting .385, 40 hits, 29 RBIs, 6 home runs, 3 triples, 7 doubles. He has had a monster start to the year. Take a look at episode 2 of season 5 if you want to hear more from him. We have a lot more Westfield, though, on this podcast, as we were blessed to have Seth Dussault, the voice of the Westfield Starfires and a proud member of the Pioneer Valley, on this episode of Back to the Future. Seth talks about his couple of years with the Starfires, including their inaugural season in 2019, which he was a part of. He also talks about his time at AIC and his pride for Western Mass, for the Pioneer Valley, for Westfield. He calls Westfield a baseball town. He gives the dictionary definition of Bullens Magic and so much more. You don't want to miss this episode. We're going to get you there. Here is Seth Dussault. We are honored to be joined by our next guest here on Back to the Futures. He is a day one Westfield Starfire, the voice of the Starfires. It's Seth Dussault. Seth, how are you doing today? Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Doing fantastic, Owen. Great to be on here. Really looking forward to this and looking forward to some more Bullens Magic.
Yes, we will get to plenty of Bullens Magic here in a second, but we want to start with the magic that has already happened on the field this year. The Starfires playing very, very well here out of the gate. What's it been like to watch this team so far this season?
It's a different feeling from years past, and I know, obviously when you're getting a franchise off the ground, there's going to be some potholes that you're going to hit, and it looks like the team has really finally hit its stride. They've figured out a way to construct a team that's successful at this level. They've put together a good group of guys that are not only talented, but also good guys. And so there's really good team chemistry. There's team togetherness. It's a lot of fun. It's a very different team from the kinds of teams we've had in the past, a lot faster, and we've stolen more bases. We already broke our franchise record for stolen bases 28 games into the season. We have 92 swipes. So it's an aggressive team. It's very much a Kyle Dombrowski team. Aggressive attack pitches, attack the defense. A lot of fun to watch. It's fun. It's a fun style of baseball, and I think the crowds have really responded to the kind of ball that we play.
Yeah, and one of those players in particular is Jackson Hornung. He is having an unbelievable start to the season. We had him on episode 2 of season 5 of this podcast. What have you seen out of him so far this season in particular?
Jackson's just good at everything. He's a great hitter. He's patient at the plate. He doesn't chase bad pitches. He makes good contact. Seems like every ball he hits, he barrels. He's also fast, and I don't just mean fast for a catcher. I mean fast. He's swiped 4 bases. He's got 3 triples, so he can move. He's got a great arm. He's thrown out a bunch of runners. All of our catchers are actually really good. We have such ridiculous depth at the catcher position. There are times when we have 3 catchers in the lineup because several of them play first base. Jack Power plays second sometimes, so we'll usually have one behind the dish, one at second or first, and one DHing. So, that's a position of super strength for us. But obviously, Jackson, for a lot of this, has been the straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah, he has certainly had an unbelievable season. And you mentioned it. He's part of this new look Starfires. But you've been there since the beginning in 2019 when they were officially named as a team. It was just you and Audrey and my former co-host and good friend of ours, Matt Satilli, in the press box. What has been the best part about working for the Starfires?
It's just the people. Any organization, it's really about the people. If you have good people to work with, it just, you look forward to it every day. I go to the ballpark every day with a big smile on my face because I tell you, I have the most fun job in the world. I get to watch sports and I get to hang out with really cool people doing it. People like you said, Matt and Audrey, from the first season, and everybody we've had since. My broadcast partner Andrew, who has been fantastic this last full. He's now at a full year at this point. Um, Obviously Evan Morehouse, who's in there quite a bit, Kenny and Ben Arnold. It's just such a great group of people. And it starts at the top. It starts with Chris Thompson, Donnie Morehouse, our owners, who are phenomenal people, phenomenal baseball minds, phenomenal business minds. They know how to run an organization. They know what it takes. The core values that them and Evan put together, family is right at the top of the list. And it really feels like a family, where we're so together as a group, even though we have one of the smallest staffs in the Futures League, might be the smallest. We get so much done because we're so together. Everybody's pitching in, doing whatever it takes to help the team be successful.
Yeah, 100%. And talk about that for a minute, the relationship between you and the Morehouse and Thompson, I guess, conglomerate, let's call it. But how were you originally recruited to work for the Starfires? Because originally you were their statistician in 2019 before you became the voice of the team in 2020.
So it's really funny. I've actually known Donnie Morehouse for 13, 14 years. He graduated from AIC back in 1987. He played hockey here at AIC, and then was an assistant hockey coach. He's gone on to do a ton of things. He's the voice of the UMass Minutemen hockey team. Obviously got to call a national championship 2 years ago, a couple Hockey East championships. But for a couple of seasons, he was actually my hockey broadcast partner here at AIC. He was the play-by-play guy. I was the color guy my sophomore and junior years at AIC. So I've known him for a while. And then Evan was our director of hockey operations at this point 6 years ago, Eric Lang's first year as head coach. So I've known the Morehouses for a really long time. And I've known Chris Thompson through the Thunderbirds and previous organization, the Springfield Falcons. So when I saw that they had a team, there was a team being found, put in Westfield, and then I saw Donnie and Chris as the owners, and I saw Evan was involved. I texted Evan. I said, hey, do you need help? Do you need a play-by-play guy? And do you need anything? And Evan texted me right back. He's like, yeah, whatever you want to be able to contribute. So that was the year before the FCBL network became a thing. So I was the statistician the first year, and I've actually been the statistician as well the last 2 years. But yeah, that was how I got in. It just literally was a text message because I knew the entire ownership group. And so it was a real easy connection. People I knew I could work with, people I knew what I was capable of and would put me in a position to be able to do the best that I could do with the organization and help it be successful. And so that was kind of how it happened. It's just fortunate that we have people that I knew would do something fantastic.
Yeah, it has certainly been fantastic to watch the growth of the Starfires. And of course, that attributes to you, to the Morehouses, to everybody that's been involved. But you mentioned it, there were potholes early. Obviously, it was 2019. You guys came fresh into the league. What would you say the biggest challenges were in working for a new franchise in 2019 and even 2020 when you guys were still trying to, get your feet wet?
And even 2021, I would include in that. In 2019, the franchise was announced in mid-February. Mm-hmm. We had 3 months to put together what normally takes a year, right? So everything was just, let's try it. Let's throw it at the wall and see what happens. Because Donnie and Chris have so many connections, they were able to get a lot of sponsorship on board real quick. So we had those kinds of things. But obviously, it was a brand new team. And unfortunately, not a lot of success on field, although we had our moments. Obviously, that's where Bullens Magic was born in that first season, even though we went 15-41. But we kind of learned what we needed, and that was between the first and second season when Hunter Golden was brought in, our director of player personnel, who had previously built the Valley Blue Sox NECBL team into a juggernaut. They won back-to-back NECBL championships. They were the number one team in college summer ball for those 2 years. I think they went some ridiculous 85-25 over the 2 year span, didn't lose a playoff game. They were just a behemoth. And so all of the great players really from 2020 on that we had, whether it's, Reggie Crawford, Cole Bartles, Jackson Hornung now, you go down the list, a lot of them brought in by Hunter. He knows how to construct a good baseball team, knows what successful college summer ball looks like. And so, every year has been a learning experience. With the COVID year, we had to figure out how to play baseball safely and be able to get some fans in with, 6 feet of separation and masks and sanitation and all that. And even 2021, we didn't know until 3 days before the season started that we were going to be able to be at full capacity. So there were still a lot of things we wanted to do but couldn't. This is really the first real season, like the first full normal year of the franchise, and we're here in year 4.
Yeah, and obviously there have been plenty of improvements, plenty of things. You mentioned Hunter Golden as one of them. This, even if you want to include that, that's fine. But what have been the biggest improvements that you've seen from this team, from the challenges to now what it's become here in 2022?
A lot of times with a new organization, you try a bunch of things and learn what doesn't work and keep doing the things that do work and add to those things. We have our own podcast now. We have the Bullens Magic podcast, which I couldn't come up with a name. And then it kind of hit me. I'm like, why am I overthinking this? Like, it's right there. We do a newsletter that we send out to our ticket holders and anybody who's bought tickets, anybody who's worked with our camps, things like that. Just more community engagement. It's super important. Westfield's a baseball town. A tremendous history of baseball. The Babe Ruth World Series has been here. The Babe Ruth regionals are at Bullens Field every year. So the high schools are good. They send a lot of kids to NCAA baseball, and we've got some kids from Westfield at AIC. And we've had in years past who have also played for the Starfires. Anthony Clark comes immediately to mind, who's part of that first season team. So, it's a place where we can be successful. I think we have been successful, and learning what doesn't work and what does, and turning up the volume on those things that do work is what, the leadership of Chris and Donnie and Evan and Hunter have really been. And I think Kyle Dombrowski as a hiring, no pun intended, is an absolute home run.
Yeah, it's been great to see the success of the Starfires so far in 2022 after, as you said, 15-41 in 2019. It's come a long way. And it is time to ask, we'll call this our Zephyr question today. It's presented by Zephyr, the official on-field hat of the Futures League. Zephyr, high quality and innovative design since 1993. So Seth, you have said it maybe 4 times already. Bullens Magic. It's a thing. You can't deny it anymore. It's real. Talk about it. You might have even coined the term in 2019, but what is for the fans, from your perspective, what is Bullens Magic? And what are your favorite Bullens Magic moments so far in your career?
Oh gosh. So Bullens Magic as a concept is the idea that the field itself and the franchise that plays on it as an extension of the field itself is never out of a game. That no matter what, till the very end, there's a chance that we can come back and we can do special things. And you will see sure-handed third basemen who never make errors. When it's late and close, suddenly the ball is going to take a funny hop. And it always seems to happen to the opposing team, never to us. It's not like we're, throwing dirt in between half innings, but it's that kind of the ghosts, quote unquote, of Billy Bullens Field. And it truly is, it's special. And the team feeds off of it. They feed off the mentality that we're never out of it, which is why the team has had so many comeback victories. And I think especially at home, but it even happens on the road. Like we've taken Bullens Magic to away games up in Pittsfield. I can think of up in Nashua, where we've had just bizarre things that have happened that don't make sense, but for the fact that it's Bullens Magic. And part of that is, of course, the nature of baseball. But I think there's something special about that field. And there's something special about the teams that play on it that just invites the craziness to happen, the unexpected to happen. My favorite, and I know the Bruins fans that are going to watch this aren't going to like this very much, but our first year we had a shortstop. It was a kid from St. Louis. And I remember the first day I met him, he had a Vladimir Tarasenko shirt on. And of course, the Blues, when they made that run, their big thing was the song Gloria. So we were in a game where we were down 8 going into the 8th inning. Like, you would never expect to come back from that. You're done. Well, we scored, I think it was 5 in the 8th, and he's leading off. And I remember turning to Matt, who at the time was our PA and music guy, and telling him, instead of playing his normal walk-up song, play Gloria. He works a walk. We end up coming back. Anthony Clark, I mentioned him before, hits a walk-off single. We end up winning that game. 2 games later, we're in the 9th inning, down a run, and the same St. Louis kid is leading off. I said, Matt, play Gloria. Kid hits a home run, ties the game. And as he's coming around third, passing the press box, tips the helmet up at us. If that wasn't Bullens Magic, that might have been the start of Bullens Magic. That those two plate appearances that led to 2 wins that we had no business getting. And it just continues to happen. Even the beginning of this season, we're down 4 against Vermont in the opener, and we score to tie the game. They take a lead. Jack Power comes up, pinch hit. His first at bat as a Starfire, crushes the ball to dead center, first pitch. Ties the game. Jackson Hornung wins the home run derby for us effortlessly. It happens. We find a way, and especially at home. And I mean, there's more coming. So, if you haven't been to Bullens Field, come see it, because you really do have to see it in person to believe it.
Yeah, I've been to plenty of Westfield Starfire games, and there's a chance I was at one of those Gloria games, because I remember being there during the Bruins run and you being very much in my ear. Let's put it that way. But yes, if you wanted the dictionary definition of Bullens Magic, you just got it from Seth Dussault right there. That is spot on. Couldn't have said it better myself. And another big thing coming for the Starfires is a game on NESN, which will be hosted at Billy Bullens Field, that you will be on the broadcast for. It'll be your first time on NESN with the league. What are you looking forward to most about that?
I think it's the opportunity to show all of New England what Westfield is all about. Not just Billy Bullens Field, not just the Starfires, but the city of Westfield, how special a place it is, how special the Pioneer Valley, Western Massachusetts is. I mean, this is my home. I grew up 2 towns over. I currently live and work 2 towns over in Springfield. So this is really an opportunity to showcase what the 413 is about to a much wider audience than we normally get to. And I think people are going to see Westfield in a different way, maybe actually think about it as someplace you might want to come to. There's so much in Westfield beyond just the baseball. There's some fantastic restaurants here, some great places to go hiking, some fabulous parks. Obviously, the schools are good. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to be. You're close to everything. So that's what I'm looking most forward to, is showcasing Westfield, Western Massachusetts, our home, my home, to an audience that I don't know necessarily appreciates. There's always the jokes that Boston doesn't acknowledge that Western Massachusetts exists. So I think for us, it's an opportunity to show what we're made of and what we are as a location.
Absolutely. And you talk about, Westfield being a baseball town earlier. You talk about the 413. There's so much there. I went to UMass. Obviously, I know a lot about the surrounding area, and it's going to be great for NESN not only to just show, oh, here's Amherst, here's Springfield, this is Westfield. It's a town that's right there, but it's got the same properties. It's got the same passion for sports, for community as, all these other towns.
Yeah, it's truly amazing just how much is here in Western Massachusetts, not just Westfield, but the area as a whole. Obviously, Springfield, people know of it, the Basketball Hall of Fame, Dr. Seuss. But Westfield's got a ton to offer. You mentioned Amherst, Northampton, East Hampton, which is my hometown. There's so much there. It's a really incredible place. And anybody out there who's never been to Western Massachusetts, I know it's not where you think of as like a vacation destination, if you think of it at all, but you should. It's a really cool place with a lot of history, a lot of awesome things to explore. It's a special place. It's why I've never left in my 33 years, and I never want to.
Yeah, that's, that's perfect. Come to Westfield because Seth said so, please.
Absolutely. Listen to me. I'm smart occasionally.
Listen to me. I'm smart. Exactly.
Hold on, we'll get right back to the Futures, but first, we want to share a message from our friends at 78 Sports. Do you have kids playing baseball or softball? We all know practice time is limited, especially here in New England. Not to mention the cost of lessons and cage time can add up very quickly. Save yourself time and money by giving your kids what they need to work on their game at home. Our friends at 78 Sports can help you put together the perfect at-home training setup. Whether you want to start small with just a tee and a net, or looking to set up a full cage with turf and a pitching machine, they have you covered. And I've used their stuff before. I've seen their facilities. They definitely cover everything. The team at 78 Sports design and install hundreds of at-home and commercial sports training facilities. So let them help you find the perfect setup for your space. Visit the 78 Sports website at 78sports.com. That's SEVENTY, the number 8, sports.com. For a limited time only, by just mentioning Back to the Futures, you'll receive a 10% discount off your order. That's SEVENTY, number 8, sports.com. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
All right, transitioning to your other job at AIC. You're in your 14th year with the Athletic Communications Department. Before we get to the specifics of your current job, what's it been like to have spent so many years with AIC?
Well, it's the exact same thing I brought up with the Starfires. The first and foremost word is family. I've had the great privilege of working with a ton of incredible people over the years who have invested in me and in my growth as a person, not only professionally but just personally. I think of the SIDs that I've worked with, the head SIDs I've worked with over the years, and even the assistants. I go back to my first boss, Daryl Kanicki, who's now the associate commissioner of the Little East Conference. I think of John Hanna, who's now the hockey SID at Penn State University. Sarah Kirkpatrick, who's now the head SID at Holy Cross. My current boss, who actually today is his last day, just took a job with the PGA down in St. Louis, where he's from. Thomas Poole, fantastic. Our athletic directors that we've had, past and present, Rich Bedard, Matt Johnson, now Jessica Chapin. The coaches, too many to name, but Gary Wright and Judy Groff and Art Wilkins are three that are the most important, deserve to be named by name. Not that the other ones don't, but if I did, we'd be here all day. The student athletes, their families, support staff, our athletic trainer, like everybody. I could go on and on. It's a family. Everybody cares about everybody else. Everybody wants everybody else to succeed. It's the kind of environment you want to be in.
Yeah, 100%. And you said it, it's when you work somewhere, it's definitely about who you work with. And that's what I found through the Futures League, you found through the Starfires, et cetera. It's all, it becomes a family, and that's 100%. Couldn't agree more.
And I think one of the things that's the most telling, you look through our staff. I'm far from the only alum who's on staff. Our women's basketball coach, Kristen Hutchison, graduated from AIC twice. Eric Lang, our hockey coach, graduated from AIC twice. You can go on. Our football coach is an alum. A bunch of the assistant coaches are alums. Several of our assistant ADs are alums. It's fantastic. Like, people come here, and you'd think in downtown Springfield, all the stuff you hear, and none of it's true. Springfield's fantastic, and people come here and they don't want to leave. And there's not a lot of places that can say that.
No, certainly not, especially in an industry like sports where pieces seem to be moving and stuff like that. So that's great that, people keep coming back. And for your day-to-day, you're the coordinator of athletic communications. What is that like? What is your day-to-day like at AIC?
So right now it's a little different, obviously, with the teams being out of play right now in the summertime. So right now we're working on updating our website. We're working on going through historical documents. We're getting our Hall of Fame induction class ready. So I've been interviewing our incoming Hall of Famers that'll be inducted in October, writing stories about that, obviously getting stuff ready for the fall, already planning for the fall teams. But during season, it's, you're doing social media, you're making graphics, you're obviously the games themselves, stats, broadcasting, writing recaps, sending out press releases. We've had a lot of success at AIC. So, that means more work, which is the kind of work I like to have, when I have, a track and field team that finishes first in the conference, 3 of the 6, and second, the other 3 of the 6. We had 18 All-Americans. A kid won 2 national championships. Callum Elson. That's phenomenal stuff. Obviously the hockey team here, really successful. Our volleyball team is super so it's a lot of different things that we have to do. We wear many hats, are kind of the motto of sports information is other duties as assigned. We kind of do everything, but it's fun. No 2 days are the same. And, there's always something new and exciting to look forward to in the next thing. And we're trying to find the next thing to get people to pay attention to us, to talk about it, to talk about AIC. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of different things, and it's hard to describe all of them well, but it's fun. I wake up every morning looking forward to going to work. How many people can say
that? Let's say I don't know for now.
Yeah, right?
Because it certainly is. Yeah, it definitely depends on the job, depends on the person. And you said it. You're not in season right now, but you do coordinate for a lot of teams, including field hockey, cross country, track and field, men's soccer, triathlon, ice hockey, women's lacrosse, and softball. That's a lot of teams. Do you ever get tired? How do you mesh all that? That's a lot.
It is, but like I said at the beginning, it's fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I get paid to watch sports. That's how I describe. That's if I had to describe my job in one sentence. I get paid to watch sports. So how can you get tired of that? And like I said, it's always different. I'm going from, in the spring, I'm coming in and writing a track recap in the morning, and then going to broadcast a couple softball games and then a lacrosse game at night. In the fall, it's cross country's got something going, rugby's got something going. Oh, there's a field hockey game. So it's never, like I said, no 2 days are the same. So you don't get stuck in a rut, right? You don't get into this thing where it's just dull and monotonous. It's always different. So it keeps you moving, it keeps you energized. And then being around the athletes and seeing how much work they put in, it's kind of inspiring that you want to give to them what they're giving to the institution, right? They're putting in, they're basic, being a student's a full-time job. Being a student athlete at the Division II or Division I level is a full-time job. And then a lot of them work on top of it. So they're putting in 100 hours, some of them, when you think about everything that they're doing. I want to give to them what they're giving to the institution, to show them, hey, your work is being honored here, and we're going to work hard for you because you're working hard for us.
Yeah, it's a great answer. And again, like someone like you've thought of that. Obviously, you've worked for so many years, but that was a great answer, because it is a full-time job to be an athlete, and some of these athletes work and they have to pay rent or pay tuition or whatever. So they have to work on top of that. So that's a good point.
I think of one of the shining examples, and he's very public with this, so I have no trouble talking about this, is Jason Beaver of our track and field team and cross country team. He's got 2 kids. He has twins, and he's a full-time student. I know he's got a full-time job. 3-time academic all conference this year. He was all conference in cross country, all American as part of our distance medley relay team. This is the kind of kid you hold up as the shining example of doing it right. I call him a kid. He's 22 years old. He's absolutely an adult, but he's 11 years younger than me. But just a fantastic person who has got his ducks in a row, and that's what you want to see. You want to see these kids accomplish things academically, get their degree, be able to get a job, and at the same time, obviously, we want them to be good at their sport. And Jason is a perfect example of somebody who does everything really, really well like that. I could give an example probably from every team, but he's one that has always stood out to me in those last few years as somebody who's really up there with that.
Yeah, and every athlete, everybody's got a unique story, but stories like that definitely put a smile on your face. That's good to hear. And shout out to Jason for doing the extra mile there. That's great.
Literally.
Yeah. Seriously, literally.
Mm.
All right. And we mentioned it, flashing all the way back 2007, you're a student at AIC. What were your expectations going into your freshman year? And again, like I asked for the Starfires, what has impressed you most about the growth of your school?
So when I was a senior in high school, and I'm from East Hampton, which is not far from Springfield, 20-25 minutes, maybe driving time. I was applying to different schools. I'd applied to Westfield State. I'd applied to UMass. And my high school chemistry teacher, Sean Sheehan, who's still teaching, by the way, it's fantastic, said to me, "You ever think about AIC?" And I go, "Huh? Never heard of it," right? It's where he went, class of, I think, 95. He said this, he told me this is where I went to school, did my undergrad. It's a good school. It's in Springfield. You should check it out. came to the campus, fell in love with it, applied, got accepted. And literally that day, it was like, this is a no-brainer. You know, I have nothing against UMass, but I felt like it wouldn't have been good for me to be a place where I was one of 500 in a classroom. To be at a small school where I could be one of 15, 20 was where I needed to be. And so that it felt comfortable from day one. And the school at the time had just gotten a new president, Vince Maniaci, 2 years prior. So there were things that he was in the process of leading us to upgrading, fixing. And he just retired at the end of this most recent year. And where it's come from when I first walked onto campus that April in 2007 to where it is now here in the end of June in 2022 is you almost wouldn't recognize it. We had a grass football field that was basically a mud pit. Now we have a beautiful turf. We have a track for our track team, the outdoor track complex. New buildings galore on campus for academics, for dormitories, just all the upgrades, the number of sports we've added, the number of majors we've added. They just added athletic training very recently. We got a new building. Our chair of our board of trustees, Frank Colicino, actually is a big reason behind that. That's why the building is named after him. But it's evolved so much in the 15 years that I've been here, and it continues to evolve now. We just at men's volleyball is our newest sport most recently. I'm sure there's more things coming. And we've obviously had unprecedented success on the field in the last 15 years in so many of our different sports. So it's just, it's almost indescribable. I don't often not have words for something, but it's special. It's a special place, and it's continued to grow and become even better.
Yeah, it's been great to see. And we'll talk about hockey specifics in a minute, but that's, where I've seen AIC's growth over the last couple of years. And it's been great to see them continuing their success on the field and obviously in the town of Springfield. So that's awesome. And from their journey to your personal journey at AIC, you started there, as I said, in 2007. You were a writer for the student newspaper and an editor, and now you're the coordinator of the athletic communications. Overall, what has the journey been like specifically for you at AIC?
It's been amazing. And again, it goes back to the people that I've had the good fortune to be around, the opportunities that I've been given. We had a radio station, and we still do technically, WAIC. It's no longer student run, but at the time it was. And so, as a freshman, I got to call hockey games, which obviously dream come true. And by my sophomore year, we were actually traveling with the team, and I got to really know Gary Wright, the head coach at the time, very, very well. And so even when the radio station stopped being a thing that we did, as online streaming became more of a thing, he still wanted me to travel with the team, and he made it a point, like he took it out of their own budget to be able to include me when he didn't have to. Daryl, our SID at the time, gave me all kinds of opportunities to learn and to do things that most people never would get that opportunity at a bigger school. You're, like I said, you kind of feel like you're just a number as opposed to a person at a small place like AIC. So I just had a lot of people who gave me chances and believed in me and taught me and invested in me. And that's what's allowed me to get to the point that I am in my career now, where I'm doing all of these things that I'm doing. And it's a big thing for me to try to pay that forward now. I've had the good fortune to work with some interns, some graduate assistants that I've had that have now gone on themselves to fantastic things. We have a former intern who's the assistant SID at Lander, another former student worker who's now the assistant SID, does the hockey up at Dartmouth. My graduate assistant, Summer Dutton, who literally just graduated, just got a job at Holy Cross in their athletic communications office. So we've put a ton of people in a position to be successful. And to me, like I said, that's the most important thing, because I had a lot of people who did and still do invest that in me. And I want to make sure that the next crop of people like me who are coming through get those same opportunities, get those same learning experiences, so that when they graduate and they move on to their careers, they have a leg up on everybody else. And it seems like we're doing a really good job with that, which makes me really happy more than anything else.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for someone like me who just graduated from UMass, where they're very big on that too, is trying to get the next generation set up for life, for their careers. That's great to hear that AIC and you specifically are doing the same. And you mentioned the recognition that you've gotten and the people that you've worked with, and you've got some specific awards to back that up. You were the 2017 Team Asset Award winner for women's lacrosse. In the 2018, you earned the first ever Gary Wright. You mentioned Gary Wright, first ever Gary Wright Award for ice hockey, and you were named Most Dedicated Yellow Jacket of the Year for that year as well. These awards for someone like you, what do they mean as, again, someone who's been there since 2007, someone who's been at AIC working in the athletic communications department and working for all these people?
It's nice to get recognized. Obviously, it's certainly, good to know that you're having an impact. But to me, that's the bigger part. It means I'm having an impact. It means that people are getting something out of me being there. That our teams are better because of it, that our student athletes are having a better experience because of it. That's the big thing. I had such a great experience as a student at AIC. Again, because I had so many people who wanted me to succeed, who wanted to give me opportunity. And so to know that I am able to give that to our student athletes, to help our coaches be successful, to help our staff administrators be successful, that's the hardware is cool. Don't get me wrong. I love wearing my hockey rings. You can ask the hockey guys. I've had them on all the time, or, having those awards hanging up in my room. But it's more than that. It's a reminder of like this, you're doing this because you're helping people. You're helping people be successful. And that's, you can't put a plaque or a ring on that.
No, you absolutely can't. And you talk about making an impact and having an impact. And one way that you do that constantly, that I see and that everybody sees, is through your support and love of women's sports. I always see on your social medias your appreciation for all the athletes that come through AIC, and of course, specifically the female ones coming down the pipeline. You were on the first broadcast of women's lacrosse at AIC. How much pride do you take in your support of women's sports and being part of women's sports?
It's super important to me. The first sporting events that I went to as a kid were my older cousin's softball and basketball games. And, it's an unfortunate reality. We just crossed the 50th anniversary of Title IX. We still have a long way to go in terms of how women's sports are treated in this country in comparison to men's sports. And it's not to take away anything from the men. We shouldn't have to take away anything from anybody. I've always approached things with the idea of let's elevate everybody. But there's a reality that we haven't as a society done a good enough job with anything with women. But, my corner of the world that I can control is the sports at AIC. And so, to me, to be able to get some extra recognition for field hockey or lacrosse or softball or basketball, track and field, what have you, it's important to me because they deserve it. The idea of doing a little extra work to put them out there so that people do know what they're accomplishing, because if it is a case of if you build it, they will come. And you look at the TV numbers for the Women's College World Series, the championship games, they outdrew the Men's College World Series by 200,000 viewers. So there's an appetite out there for it. We just have to be willing to do the work to get it there. And when the work is done, you see that the numbers match up. The numbers are even better. You could look at the U.S. women's soccer team. They way outdraw viewers of the men. And part of that is, of course, that the women are really, really good. You expect them to win every year, but they draw huge numbers. The U.S. women's hockey team, when they're in the Olympics, draw insanely high numbers, just like the men do. So that appetite is there, and it's great to see. Like, there are professional leagues now. You have the Professional Hockey Federation. You have, obviously, the WNBA has been around for a much longer period of time. Professional women's soccer. So those opportunities, people are starting to recognize it. And for me, I have some control over doing a little bit of that work in my little corner of the world to get it where it needs to be. And that's just really important to me, because I've had a lot of women who have who have put a lot into my life. And it's, again, my way of trying to give back and trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, certainly. And it's been awesome to see. You talked about elevating it. It seems to be the elevation again, you said it's not there. That's true, but it's beginning. And that's what we like to see for sure.
Yeah, no, it's certainly, it's better than it was. But there's work to do. There's always going to be work to do. And that's okay too. Like we can recognize both that we've come a long way and that we've got a long way to go. I don't think you have to say it's one or the other. It's both. But yeah, we certainly have come a long way too. And that's really encouraging to me. And again, it's, you've got little boys and little girls now that are, looking for people to look up to. And there are women athletes that are worth looking up to. And I just want to get them out there so that next generation can see that and, have those sources of inspiration so that when they're at this age, they know that they can do anything.
Before we return to Back to the Futures, we want to share a message from our friends at Zorian Bat Company. Rob Zorian started the company, Zorian Bat Company, in 2003, literally out of the trunk of his car in Davie, Florida. Within 2 years, he was selling his wood bat line to Major League Baseball and continues to manufacture the highest grade wood bats for Little League all the way up to the majors. Rob Zorian, founder and president of Zorian, says, "I started the company in 2003 to service all baseball players in the United States and beyond. And after 19 years, our mission has not changed. We are very excited to have the opportunity to work with the Futures League and wish all of our players and coaches a healthy and successful season ahead. For more information about Zorian, visit their website, zorianbats.com. Zorian, America's baseball brand." Now, back to the Futures. All right, it's time. You knew it was coming. We got to talk about hockey. We'll talk about all the hockey, but let's start with AIC. It's been a great couple of years for AIC from 2019 to 2022. They are always right there in the Atlantic Hockey. Four regular season titles, 3 conference titles. This 2020 was canceled.
Yep, and we were the 1 seed going into that. Had there been an NCAA tournament, the league would have given us the auto bid. So
yeah,
4-3. The only thing that could beat us in our league the last 4 years was literally a global pandemic. So
yeah, it's been an incredible run. So what's it been like kind of following the growth of AIC hockey, obviously as hockey in Western Mass? Oh, what's the team? They won the national. Oh, UMass. As hockey in Western Mass continues to grow and AIC being a huge part of that.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And by the way, our home opener, October 8th, is from the day we're recording this, 100 days from now at the Mass Mutual Center. So would love to see you all there that Saturday night, the 8th of October. It's been amazing. It's been truly special to be able to be part of the resurgence of our program. Eric Lang, who's a 2-time alum, like I mentioned earlier, has just done an unbelievable job. And obviously some of the credit as well goes to the assistant coaches he's had throughout the years, Mike Towns, Steve Weidler, Corey Schneider, who have all departed us to go to other places at this point. Matt Woodard now, Patrick Tabb. We mentioned, Evan was our director of hockey ops for 1 year. Mike Finnegan, who was here for 3 years, is now at UConn, a huge part of it. Brendan Riley's currently our director of ops, been fantastic. The players, obviously, that we've had over the years have been unbelievable. It's been so much fun, and it goes back to, I think of like the first 10 years that I was here and we weren't very successful. And I always believed that one day we would be, and people told me I was crazy. Well, who's laughing now? 4 straight conference championships. We're gunning for 5. And it's been so special to be part of, that first championship in 2019 when we won in Buffalo over Niagara in overtime, and then the win over St. Cloud that everybody still talks about. 2020 obviously was cut short, and then to come back in 2021 and do it again. And then last year, the Atlantic Hockey Championship game, this most recent season, the championship game was on my birthday. And the thing that I will remember is Parker Revering sitting next to me in the hallway in Utica with the trophy and looking at it and looking at me and going, "Not a bad birthday present, huh?" And it just such a great group of people to be with. And it's been amazing. It's a dream come true, quite literally, to get to call, I got to call the championship game in 2021 because it was in Springfield. Hopefully with the new format that we have, we'll be conference regular season champions for a fifth time, because all of the Atlantic Hockey playoff games this year are high seed hosts. So the AHA championship game will hopefully be March 18th at the Mass Mutual Center. And I'll get to call that game again as a result. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, it's been an amazing ride. And I love the sport of hockey so much. Always have. And so it's really special.
Yeah, you certainly love the game of hockey. As your social media handle on multiple handles is the hockey professor. Where'd that nickname come from? Is that you or is that somebody else?
That is somebody else. So a long time ago, gosh, this was pre Eric Lang. I know that. I was on a hockey talk show, and somebody referred to me as the professor of hockey. Kind of a nod to, all the hockey stuff, and then working at a college. And it kind of stuck around for a while, and I still have it, I think, on my Instagram handle and my Snapchat. But yeah, that was just something that somebody said one day, and I kind of liked it and kind of rolled with it for a while, and it's still sort of there. But yeah, it's sort of fitting, I guess.
You know your hockey, that's for sure. I know that much.
I like to think I have some idea of the sport after spending 33 years watching it.
Yeah, you would think.
I hope.
All right, going back out general here for a minute. Out of the thousands of games that you've called for AIC and otherwise, what has been your favorite?
Picking just one, it's like asking a parent who their favorite kid is. Picking one favorite call. I mean, the Atlantic Hockey Championship game in 2021, obviously special because, it was the title game. That's up there. I'm still going to go, though, with, this is a little off the board. I'm going to go all the way back to 2010. We hosted a playoff softball game. It was the first time in my career that the softball team had made the playoffs. We were at home, and we had an outfielder named Laura Russo from Chicopee, slap hitter, hit a walk-off gap shot double to advance us in the postseason to the double knockout rounds. We ended up going all the way to the conference championship game and knocking off New Haven, who was the nation's number 10 team, on their own field on the way to getting to the conference final. And I still remember that hit. Even, it's been 12 years almost at this point. It's actually been more than 12 years at this point. So that one stands out as one that I really will always remember, that moment. One that's not an AIC game, actually, funny enough, is one I got to call this year. I got to call the NE10 women's lacrosse semifinal between Lemoyne and Adelphi, which those are two programs that have historically been, not just conference leaders, but national champions. And I mean, I call it at the beginning the Super Bowl of women's lacrosse, because you juggernauts, right? And, Lemoyne tied the game with 20 seconds left, had a power play in overtime, couldn't score, turned the ball over, got it back, ended up scoring with like 20 seconds left in the OT. Just an incredible display of lacrosse. So that game's another one, even though it's not an AIC game, that'll always be kind of etched in my brain. But that softball walk-off, if I had to pick an AIC game, that's probably the one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, you said it was their first time, so that's awesome that you got to be part of that, of course.
Yeah, it was the first time in 7 years, I think, that they had made the NE10 tournament. So
there you go. That's how to do it right there.
Mm-hmm.
And even more general than that, we got to ask this, obviously, as someone as passionate in sports as you are, what made you originally want to work in sports, and what do you look forward to down the line as you continue to work in the industry?
So you can probably tell from looking at me, or, having watched my at-bat that I got earlier this season, that I'm not the most athletic person in the world. The expression 2 left feet, I got 2 right ones. So this was always a way to be involved, with a team. Like I said, growing up, going to my cousin's games, watching her play, my other cousins, watching them play. I was never out on the field and just was not good at it. So, this was a way to be involved. And I always remember as a little kid, I used to, sit and watch hockey games or baseball games or football games and do my own play-by-play. My mom would constantly yell at me, "They're already doing it. You don't need to do it too." It's kind of worked out that I did. And so, yeah, I just kind of always knew that this was what I wanted to do. And then growing up, as I got a little older, listening to hockey games on online radio, listening to Chuck Caton, the longtime voice of the Whalers and Hurricanes, and that 2002 run that they made to the Stanley Cup final. And then obviously in 2006, when they won the cup, that was my junior year of high school. Is like, I want to do that. I want to be that person. And, it worked out at AIC that I was able to do exactly that. So it really is, every day is a dream come true. It's always been a passion since I was in diapers, for crying out loud. It just really has always been there.
Yeah, the passion is certainly there. And you mentioned it. We're going to save the best for second last here. We got to ask about Education Day on June 8th. It was an awesome day for the Futures League overall, but you getting that bat, you're standing there at the plate, and you're now tied for the league lead in on-base percentage at 1.000. You're batting 1,000 on the base pass. What was it? What was that day like? And what was your reaction when you found out you were going to be stepping up to the plate?
Well, I knew that I was going to get that opportunity. Evan was cool with it, and so was Kyle. So I think kind of the moment where it really hit me, like it was really happening, is as I'm in the dugout and Evan's doing, normally I do the PA pregame, but Evan's doing it because obviously I'm down in the dugout, and, leading off from American International College, the designated hitter, number 40, Seth Dussault, and I was like, oh, that's my name. So that was kind of the moment where I was like, oh, and then I step into the batter's box, and I don't think I was truly prepared for it, to be honest with you, because 91 on TV and 91 from the press box or from any baseball game you've ever been to in the stands, and 91 in the batter's box are two very different things. That first pitch came in and it was just like, oh my God. And, I got behind in the count 1-2. I took a bad swing on a 1-1 that was high. And I kind of said to myself, all right, listen, you gotta approach this differently. You can't be too aggressive. So the strategy was, if it's not, just don't swing and hope that he misses the zone 3 times. And he did. The 1-2 was high. And then the 2-2 was outside. And then the 3-2 slipped out of his hand a little bit. It looked like, and obviously it came up and in, and it was right here. And oh my God, that was horrifying. My life flashed before my eyes. I was, obviously, as you saw, I fell over backwards trying to get out of the way of it. But it was ball 4. So, hey, mission accomplished. I reached safely, which is, and now I could put that in my back pocket and I never have to do it again. Yep. I'm not going to mess up that on base percentage by going up a second time.
Hell no.
Next year, when we have Education Day, Andrew can take my plate appearance. He can have it, or whoever else wants it can have it. I'm going to, retire on top, undefeated, 1,000.
That's it. Back to the Futures. Breaking news: Seth Dussault officially retiring from Futures League baseball. Plate appearances.
There we go.
He's not done yet in the booth, folks.
No, I am going nowhere in the booth except for, whichever ballpark we're at that day.
Absolutely. All right. And one final question here. This has been great so far. We ended as we always do. A message to Starfire fans as we have officially hit July, which seems ridiculous to me, but as we've officially hit July.
If you haven't experienced Bullens Magic in person, now is the time to do it. This is a special team. This is a special group of individuals in a special place. It's the most affordable family fun in the area that you can find. What are you waiting for? Come out to a game. Come see this team play. Come experience Bullens Magic for yourself. If you're 21 or older, grab a Starfire IPA, because we're still the only team in the Futures League with our own beer. Come hang out with Stanley, our mascot. Come see the superstars of baseball today for $10. It's just and experience the magic. Experience the Bullens Magic.
Yeah, got to come down to Billy Bullens Field and see that Bullens Magic live. It's nothing like you've ever seen. I promise you that.
Absolutely. And once you come once, you're going to want to come again and again and again. Like it is truly a special place.
100%. Seth Dussault, thank you so much once again for joining me. This has been a great episode. Everybody's going to love this. I've got a very good feeling about it. We wish you the best of luck going forward. Can't wait to see you on NESN on July 16th. It's going to be a great day for the Futures League and for you. Can't wait for it. Thank you again for joining me, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks for having me, Owen. It's a pleasure. I've been looking forward to doing this. So really glad to get that opportunity, and let's go Starfires.
Indeed. And this has been episode 6 of season 5 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures League. We got new episodes coming out every Monday. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see everyone soon.